Great stuff, thank you, and that's perfect timing. Look at that. Got the 1 minute board out ready for our next group, and I'm delighted to welcome the Hagans here, or the Hagans here. Hagans, of course. Dave Hagan, who is a regular, and Tyler as well. And Tyler, let's start with you. What's your knowledge of or love of any of these guys going out now in our Group 2? 56 to 61 sports racing cars.
The one right at the front there, the Porsche Pooper, is driven by a good friend of ours, Cameron Healy, and he wheels that thing like you wouldn't believe.
And for those of us wondering why you call it a Pooper, because it sounds a little bit disregarded, it's a combination Cooper Porsche, right?
Yes, it is.
Porsche powered and Cooper built.
But this very much in line with American historic racing, because so much of historic racing, or period racing back at the time, was the European cars would come over here, be exported, and then either a combination of changing those cars to have more power, to have more performance, or even doing your own version, like the Pooper, of the basics of the Cooper, but then, you know, putting a Porsche engine in, as you say. So that's what I love about what the American experience was of racing, was that you did your own thing a lot of the time, and that's where you get all these specials. And that's what is a big part of historic racing today, but was in the period too.
Absolutely. Now, you know, you can call them hybrids back in the day. It's a different term today. But there's a lot of that, right? A lot of construction, you know, adding different motors to what the constructor originally put in it. And, yeah, everybody's looking for speed. Everybody wants more horsepower.
That's what it's all about. Now, we saw a little bit of backwards action, but Sonoma, of course, warm to your heart. You're a local. Perfect venue, really, for an event like this.
It's spectacular. I think it's a very technical course. People that can be fast here can be fast anywhere. It's a great track to learn on because of that. It's fabulous. It has elevation. It has tight turns. It has very high-speed turns. So an amazing combination of different attributes that make it a very special place.
And Tyler, I presume you just got involved in this. Your dad was doing it. You kind of picked it up, or?
Yeah, my dad's been doing it for 15 years, almost 20. And I used to come out for all the races and just camera support, moral support. I was the least attractive umbrella girl on the grid every year.
Well, there's an accolade.
And then I came out here to Sonoma and did a 3-day racing class in the retired Formula 3 cars.
Cool. And
fell in love with it, and I've been racing ever since.
Good for you. Yeah, and I highly recommend anybody who wants to get involved, Bob Bondurant Race School, and obviously Skip Barber here at Sonoma. So there's always a chance to learn how to race a racing car in a safe environment, and it doesn't matter how old you are. Because,
even if you don't want to go into vintage racing, it's a fabulous thing to do. You could do it as a team building thing for, you know, multiple people. You know, just as an individual who wants to get better, you know, understanding of car control. It's a fabulous thing to do, and you know, if it then blossoms into vintage racing, all the better.
Well, we've got some great races, as you mentioned. Cameron Healy at the front of this one. Gunnar Jeanette from Florida, from the historic realm, as it were. He's been around for a long time, Gunnar. I've watched him race around the world. So too Rob Walton is in this group, a regular to historics. Jeffrey O'Neill, the organizer of the event itself, he's out here today as well. David Swig, Mayer, Finberg. So some big names of the historic racing community here in the USA, and I'm sure, Dave, you've come across them and raced against them many times.
Absolutely, and it's cool to see Cameron out front in that Pooper. You know,
look at him go.
Look at the size of the car compared to many of the other cars. It's quite a bit smaller, so it's very light. It's got a great Porsche motor in it, and obviously Cameron's a very good wheel, so it's a pretty strong combo.
Yeah, and it got a great start to get away. From the drone, you can see the gap he's built up already. Here's the chasing pack, and it's nice and tight.
He got a good night's sleep last night.
He looks like
yes,
it, doesn't
he did.
He got up early, had his Wheaties. Look at him go.
So which car is Jeff in? He's in
Jeff
number...
O'Neill is in the 6. So that is the Maserati Birdcage.
Yeah, I think
T61,
we should make sure the people in front of him know that that's the organizer, and
Yeah, you don't
might be a little customer golf
Well, how about
situation
this?
here.
This is a good little battle. He's in there somewhere. And it looks as though this is the battle for second place, and it's eaten up nicely.
Yeah, Jeff's in the number 6, I believe.
Yeah, so we've got Gunnar Jeanette, Rob Walton, and Jeff's in the 6, yeah, as you say. David Swig in that group too.
Yeah, bunch of good drivers, great cars.
So Gunnar Jeanette's the man you're watching right now in the 14, in second place overall. But this is the battle, quite rightly, because Cameron has kind of checked out. So Gunnar holding off. He's doing a rear gunner action at the moment because he's keeping an eye on those mirrors because the chasing group is coming hard.
Oh, he's coming off. He's got a problem, unfortunately.
That's sad.
That is sad because obviously...
Yeah, because it's cool to watch a pro out there with the amateurs. That you can just see the difference in the way the car goes around the track, right?
I know, we were watching Jensen, and I know that's a lot of interest in Jensen Button, but, you know, you can't help but be in awe of watching him wheel that C-Type. Just his input on the wheel. And you see it more clearly because it's such a big wheel.
I sat in that car at Rolex, and that big wheel flexes. So in addition to being really large and wooden, and a big, pretty heavy car, the thing flexes in your hand.
Well,
so
when he first got it, he wanted to modify the wheel and wanted to get a slightly smaller wheel, but then found he couldn't see.
It's also like it's a big car, but there's the foot pedal, the footwell is really close and tight. Like you're jammed in that thing. It looks way bigger than it is inside.
Well, Rob Walton now up to second place. A man from Scottsdale, Arizona, who's got a quite interesting collection of cars. And I've been talking to some of the locals from Scottsdale earlier, and they said, you never know. Rob will go down to the shops and he'll have an absolutely priceless car he'll be in. He'll be in a Ferrari or something, and he'll just whiz by. So if you're in Scottsdale, keep an eye out for Rob.
Yeah, he has an amazing collection.
Well,
Great
that's a nice
pass
overtake
right there.
by Mayer, in
saw
the 84.
The front left tire come off the ground coming out of the exiting the carousel there.
Greg Mayer, that's him just doing the overtake in the 84.
And he has just dropped them.
Yeah, once he's got past, I think that was what he was waiting for.
Ooh.
What happened there? Whoa.
Shortcut.
Bit of a moment there for the 66.
No harm, no foul.
Yeah, exactly. Certainly a bit of dirt.
And then Jeff swings by.
That's the Tipo 61. That's the Maserati of Rob Walton. And that's a beautiful car. Another Tipo 61. So we've got two Tipos out there.
Amazing cars.
Yeah. Now, are they Birdcage?
Those are Birdcages, yep.
And just to explain, the idea was to make a lightweight chassis, and effectively it looks, if you take the body off, it looks like a nest. It looks like a bird's nest, doesn't it? Because it's all tiny, intricate little trestles. But that stiffens the chassis and gives it a flexibility and, I guess, sturdiness, and that's why they did it. Yeah,
instead of a typically larger frame car, they did really small diameter tubing. And the great way to look at it, you don't have to take the body off, just under the windshield, you can see all of that cage work. And they're spectacular cars and well named.
And darned expensive too, I may add.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
Yes, you wouldn't want to give it outside of the likes of Walton or O'Neill, who can perhaps make sure that they've got the skills to navigate one of those cars. Although Walton's disappeared, he's dropped down to 6 after that little X-skirt.
He may have had a mechanical.
Well, I think he lost a few places when he went across the dirt there. This is the battle for 4th place. There's the number 99 in action. And that's the Lotus 17 from 1960.
Yeah, those are beautiful, and he's being dogged by that really pretty. Is that a Lola? What is that?
Behind him, that's.
I can't see a number.
Yeah, I'm just looking for the number of that one. That's the. Tell you in a minute.
It's like a Lotus Mark 19.
Oh, Mark 19, Lotus Mark 19.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Number 52.
52. That's Pete Lovely raced this car in period in 60 and 61 with the Rosebud Racing Team.
Look how much wider that is than the 17 in front of it.
I know.
That's amazing. When you look at these cars out on track, you get multiple year variations of cars. The level of development every year was intense, like incredible.
Yeah.
So, 3 years difference in cars can make just a world of difference.
Talk about different cars. You've got the Maserati out there that was built in Dallas, Texas by Bill Joanski in 53 to 56 it took him, but that's a monster of a car.
It's a beast.
Yeah, exactly that. So Walton's dropped to 8th now, but we'll see if he can make his way back. Jeffrey O'Neill in 3rd, behind Mayer and Healy, who's kind of checked out, as we mentioned. He's gone.
Already 17 seconds ahead of Meyer.
Amazing.
I think next year maybe Jeff will put him in a different class.
Well, that's always, I find that a really dark art, how you decide who gets in. I had James Alder in here earlier saying, it took him a fair few years to get accepted into the Monterey Classic and to the, Reunion. And so, there's quite a lot of, toing and froing and working it out, and I'm sure quite upset people now and again.
Everybody's anxious to see what race groups they're going to have each year, because that really dictates what, at least what types of cars are going to get in, and then obviously it's got to be the best of the best of that type. And so, you never know. Some years you get in, some years you don't.
Now let's explain what the Maserati is. It's basically, well, I love the description. He says, Bill Joanski wanted an Allard, but he couldn't afford it. So he kind of built his own with a Ford chassis, a 1939 Ford chassis, and then got a mail order plan, and then built his own special. Chuck Manning's successful West Coast racer. There you go, that Maserati you see there in the 35, that's how that came to be. But that's pretty much part of American approach to racing, both in period and now historics, but that's what they did, didn't they?
Absolutely.
They kind of did their own specials.
And that came right out of the hot rodding culture.
Yeah.
Like, you look at that car, you go, oh, you see the early 50s hot rodding that was so big on the West Coast.
Yep. Junkyard dogs, or whatever they're called, but basically, it's a hybrid. Well, we call it a hybrid politely today, wouldn't we?
Beautiful pass right there by the Alpha.
Cooper Monaco from 1959.
Yeah, David
as well.
Perkins, beautiful car.
Percy Crabb raced that for the checkered flag racing team in England, and did quite a few races in the UK as well as some hill climbs.
And those GTZs are just spectacular cars. I mean, they are rolling art, as so many cars are, but they were really special.
I've always wanted to ask this. So growing up here, we just mentioned the specials and all the rest of it. So what cars, growing up as, let's say you were a 10-year-old kid, what would you have been going, oh, I wish I could see that, or I wish I could get one of those? What were you looking at towards Europe that you weren't seeing on a regular basis here that you were thinking, God, I'd love one of those?
Yeah, my older brother was a Corvette guy.
Okay.
And maybe because of that, I became a European guy.
Yeah.
And European car guy. And so, the first car that I fell in love with was the XKE, the Jag XKE.
Okay.
Just a beautiful car.
I'm now beginning to understand the love of that car by the Americans.
Oh, they're so nice.
It's a sleek muscle car, isn't it?
That's basically pretty.
It.
I think Ferrari himself said his most beautiful sports car ever. And then I saw a Porsche Speedster pretty early on in my life, and I thought, well, that might be the coolest car that I've ever seen. So those were the ones I was drawn to. Tyler, how about you?
When I was young, I was into more of the Japanese cars. So,
yeah, interesting.
Nissan 300ZX, some of the Toyotas that we never got on this side of the Pacific. Just some really spectacularly well done body lines, and with in the early 90s they came up with the truce between the Japanese auto manufacturers not to produce a car over 300 horsepower, but they built the bottom ends of those cars to hold 900.
Yep.
And so that's where the tuning, the kind of tuning scene came
Culture,
out of.
yeah.
in the United States was from all those easily modifiable and bulletproof motors.
I think that's the point, isn't it? The Japanese came on strong, easy to import. They knew that stock car racing was taking off here in NASCAR, but that was very different. And these cars were imported as road cars, but easily modified, as you say, and affordable to modify.
Absolutely.
And very reliable. And then when you start looking at the 510s and then the 240s, a whole rail of great cars that were user-friendly and very competitive. Almost the best of both worlds. The Japanese had the non-reliability of the British cars was replaced by the reliability of the Japanese cars, and they had a bit more muscle than the British cars.
Yeah, maybe a little less charm, but yes.
Yes,
the
that's
other,
true.
all different attributes, right?
Battle for 11th place here. And that's the 57, just behind. That's the 1961 Porsche Abarth GTL from 61.
Another stunningly beautiful car.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just ahead is that Cooper Monaco. Back with the 96, the Alfa Romeo GTC, that from 1964. And David Perkins at the wheel of that one.
Alloy body, super light, small engine, great handling car, just beautiful car.
Yeah, it does. Looks a pretty car, isn't it?
I raced door-to-door with a couple of those in my 356 Roadster, and they are just so much fun to race with.
What year's your 356?
It's a 1960.
Lovely car.
Well, hopefully there will be a race group that they need that next year. I'm lobbying. Lobbying already.
Lobbying. I like it. So still Healy and O'Neill and Mayer, the top three in our Group 2. We've got Tyler and Dave Hagan alongside me for this one, and we're enjoying every moment of this as we take a look at Cameron Healy, our leader in the special Pooper, the Cooper Porsche Special. And he is flying, isn't he?
He's flying.
He really is. Every time he goes out on track, whether it's here, whether it's Laguna Seca, and there's a nice little thank you wave as somebody pointed him by.
In the spirit of vintage racing, that was well done.
Absolutely. And the good news is I did see Gunnar Jeanette after he came off. He stopped right here to talk to his mechanics and then took right off. So he's back out there.
Oh, okay, good.
Running around somewhere.
Oh, good, yeah. Well, good, nice spot, because I wasn't looking that way. Yeah, we've got one pit lane spot here that obviously Gunnar just drew up to, so good. Glad to see him back out there. Fortunately,
it's great to see the track from the drone. It's really cool.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's changed motor racing. I do Trans Am on a regular basis, and the drone has just changed the coverage completely, especially and from a commentary point of view too, because you can see things and lines and traffic ahead that you don't see from the regular camera shots. And I really enjoy watching from the drone because you get to see the craft a little bit more sometimes.
You do. Like when you're in a car, you have someone in front of you, someone behind you. You see the different places on the track where maybe you're faster than somebody, and they're faster than you in other places. But as a person just watching on one corner, you don't really get to see that.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the drone shows that kind of accordion effect. Things tighten up in the corners where they're going slower, and then they spread out. You see where people are faster than the other guy, vice versa. So it's really nice to see.
Well, this 1953 car campaigned on the East Coast in SCCA from 1953 to 1969 and had a series of different owners. The original owner was a builder, Tipe Lippe. What a great name. Particularly successful in 55, 56, and 57, winning overall numerous times, including at Cumberland in 55 and beating all the Porsche factory Spider entrants. Now, as a Porsche man yourself, that's a pretty good achievement to beat the factory boys.
That's pretty amazing, and I'm sure Porsche didn't love that.
No. Yeah, that's really rubbing it. To the Germans don't like it, that sort of thing.
And the privateers are not supposed to beat the factory teams, right? That's they do, though, on occasion, and that's what's cool, right?
That's what's motor racing.
Through the years, it's happened, but man, the factory teams don't love it.
No.
you may not get the most horsepower in the next engine you get from them, you know?
Yeah. Hey, it still goes on today. Sometimes the RB gets the fastest lap and not the Red Bull.
It was a nice little send-off from Daniel.
Yeah, it was. I hope he shows up in Austin because we really need to give him a proper send-off in many ways, I think.
I think he may come back on the horse.
Yeah, well, I'd like that. Now, we've got the Porsche Abarth. This raced at Sebring in 1962.
That's Ransom Webster. Beautiful car, good driver.
Yes, he's a regular, isn't he?
Absolutely, yep.
What else does he drive? Is that his car?
That's his car, yeah.
Okay, but does he only drive this, or does he do other?
I actually don't know. I know he's got some other cars, but this is the one I see him in a lot.
Yeah.
This is definitely a car that I point by quite often.
Yeah. Well, it's a 1960 Abarth GTL.
What's cool is I think there are two of those here this week. Ransom, and then also Bill Lyons. And I think there are only 10 of them maybe in the world ever. So we got 2 of them here this weekend. Pretty amazing. And they're here racing.
And racing well, not just out for a Sunday drive.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, there's
Jeff.
Jeffrey O'Neill. And again,
getting a little curving, nice.
Pushing
that
it
wheel back
nicely
and forth
in the Birdcage. And I believe that's his Birdcage, right?
It is, yes.
Yep. Now, I've just been told that Bill Jowanski might well be here, the man who created that Maserati. So let's see if we can get him in.
That'd be fantastic.
Anybody welcome to come and have a chat? Historic cars as we enjoy Velocity Invitational number 5 here from Sonoma. Plenty to see at the pre-grid just behind the main grandstand, and as you can see, all the vendors just behind that, and there's a chance to get some Grand Prix originals from all the Gulf colors. I imbibe myself into a nice Steve McQueen jacket, why not, from the famous Le Mans film. So I'm channeling my inner Steve McQueen. I'll be out there soon. I'll be out there one day. But a pretty good racing driver in his time, to be fair.
Amazing, absolutely.
Him and Paul Newman, actually, I think surprised quite a few people. Everybody saw them as actors, and they didn't see themselves that way, I think. I think they were in their true home when they were at a racetrack for a couple of reasons. One, they didn't get bugged, and 2, as Paul Newman put it, you know, you can be good in a movie because you got good-looking eyes or a good-looking face, but
doesn't help you out there.
The clock doesn't lie in motor racing. You are just, you know, one of many, and you know, he said there's something pure about the whole idea of being at a racetrack and trying to go fast, and I get that.
And everybody that knows him just said the greatest things about him, like super friendly, open, wants to help, just be one of the guys out there at the racetrack.
That's what you need.
You mentioned Steve McQueen. We just lost Chad McQueen within the month. That's a sad day. He's a big deal in Porsche world, and I understand he fought a pretty tough battle.
Yes. Very sad. So we're watching Jeffrey O'Neill, some 20 seconds adrift, but enjoying the heck out of it, as you can see in that number 6 Birdcage.
Gotta love skinny tires and spoke wheels, right?
There you go. You gotta love it. How hard is it, Dave, to like, you know, you talk about spoke wheels and stuff. How hard is it to get things when they go wrong? Like if you break your wheel or you hit a curb too heavily and you bend those spokes, can you replace stuff like that easily or not?
It's getting harder and harder. There generally there are some parts sources. There are also fabricators that can do that work. But yeah, it's getting tougher and tougher.
And of course, you want to, and again, in order to comply for an event like this, you have to be as original as possible. I don't know where the line is.
You can't put 15-inch slicks on.
Can't put modern tires on and go, hey, I'd like to enter.
But what's cool about driving and racing these old cars that are skinny tired, many of the tire compounds are pretty hard compared to today's racing tires, is they slide around the track, and that's part of the fun. And they're pretty forgiving, generally pretty easy to catch in a slide, and that's a big part of the fun.
Checkered flag out then on our Group 2. And once again, my thanks to Dave and Tyler coming in. When will you be out, and what are you racing?
So I'm in the so I'm done today, but tomorrow morning at whatever the Group 3 is, like at 8:30 or something, I'm in the Formula Junior, so the Lotus 22, and then in the 910, the Porsche 910, about an hour after that.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Good day out. So no surprise, and Cameron Healy, you kind of knew from the start he was going to dominate, didn't you?
I didn't know he was going to dominate quite this heavily, but I knew he was going to go out and turn some really quick laps, and glad to see he didn't disappoint.
No, he did not disappoint. Well, thanks, gents. Thanks for coming in. And, yeah, it is this man, Cameron Healy, with the win over Jeffrey O'Neill, our event organizer. Greg Mayer in third, Nicholas Finber in fourth, and McCoy in fifth. We'll take a short break here from Sonoma. We'll come back, and there'll be more racing to come. Stay with us at Velocity Invitational.